Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever, really paused to think if what you eat every single day is actually doing your body any favors?
It's a great question because today we're doing a deep dive into some of those, everyday habits, eating, lifestyle things that seem totally normal.
Right, completely standard stuff. But according to the sources we've looked at, they might not be quite as beneficial as we assume.
Exactly. We've got excerpts from various studies, some analyses, and our goal here is really just to understand a bit better how these common routines could potentially be impacting our health down the line.
Okay, sounds good. So where should we start? Maybe with diet. That seems fundamental.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that really stands out in the research is the stark contrast between, say, ancestral human diets, think nomadic, pre-agricultural,
Hunter-gatherer style.
precisely, compared to how many of us eat today.
Yeah.
No, lots of refined carbohydrates, often paired with animal protein at pretty much every meal.
Like the classic sandwich or pasta with meat sauce, burger and fries,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Multiple times a day.
Exactly that pattern. And what some research suggests is that this frequent combination, this mix of simple carbs and animal protein, it might throw our metabolism a bit off balance.
Also, what's the proposed mechanism?
Well, think about it. The body gets this rush of glucose from the simple carbs it has to process quickly, plus the heavier, slower digestion of the protein all at once, repeatedly. The idea is this could contribute to sort of low-grade chronic inflammation.
Ah, inflammation. That word comes up a lot in health discussions.
It does. And the concern raised in some of these sources is that chronic inflammation over the long term might increase the risk for certain diseases, including some types of cancer.
Okay, that's definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
What else came up regarding diet?
Well, another interesting point is milk consumption. Humans are pretty unique, right? We're the only species that drinks milk beyond infancy.
And not just our own milk, but milk from entirely different species.
Exactly. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's unusual. And digging deeper into dairy, specifically cheese, for example, some sources highlight a protein called casein A1.
Casein A1. Okay, what's the issue there?
There are some studies, and it's important to note it's an area of ongoing research that have suggested a potential association between casein A1 and an increased risk for certain cancers, like breast and prostate cancer.
Hmm. And what about lactose-free products? Does that solve the potential issue?
That's a crucial distinction. Lactose-free really just addresses the milk sugar lactose for people who can't digest it well. It doesn't necessarily remove other milk proteins like casein.
Got it. So even if it's lactose-free, it might still contain components that could, according to these sources, affect gut health or cellular processes differently.
That's the idea presented, yes.
Yeah.
It's about looking beyond just the lactose aspect.
Okay, changing tack slightly, but still very relevant to lifestyle habits. Alcohol and tobacco. These are, pretty well-known factors.
Absolutely. The evidence on smoking, for instance, is just overwhelming. It's a major, major cause of many cancers. No real debate there.
And quitting is notoriously difficult.
Extremely. Nicotine addiction is powerful, and then there's the whole ingrained habit aspect. Often, people really do need professional support to quit successfully. The sources strongly emphasize that.
And then there's alcohol. It's so normalized in society, isn't it? Celebrations, socializing.
Totally normalized. But despite that social acceptance, the scientific consensus highlighted in our sources is pretty clear. Regular alcohol consumption is directly linked to an increased risk of various cancers: liver, esophageal, breast, colorectal, the list goes on.
So even moderate consumption isn't risk-free.
The sources suggest that the risk generally increases with the amount consumed, but yeah, even moderate amounts carry some risk. Reducing alcohol intake is framed as a potentially powerful health decision.
It's interesting how, like you said, these things become normalized, and maybe we don't always connect the dots to the potential long-term health consequences mentioned in these studies.
Exactly. It's easy to overlook the cumulative impact.
So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway? It feels like it could be a bit overwhelming or even scary.
Yeah, and the goal isn't fear at all. It's more about empowerment through awareness, Understanding the potential implications allows us to make more conscious choices.
Choices that align better with our long-term health goals.
Precisely. It's not necessarily about drastic deprivation, but maybe making small, informed adjustments. These sources suggest that even minor shifts in daily habits could potentially make a significant difference to our overall well-being over time.
Right. It comes back to that initial question. question, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Thinking actively about what we're doing.
Yes. Reflecting on whether our daily patterns are genuinely adding to our health or potentially taking away from it in subtle ways. It's about understanding the impact of our choices.
Okay, so maybe a good final thought for everyone listening is this. Before your next meal or your next drink, just take a second to ask yourself, does this truly nourish me? Is this adding to my overall health? Something to ponder.